Hey crafty people, it's Tasha for Wow Embossing. Today I'm going to be playing with one of the stamps that I designed in the latest release, along with the trio of powders that I designed for the latest release. So this stamp here, this is the abstract triangles. It's one of our background stamps. I'm putting it there against an A2 panel, so you can see it's not quite as wide, but that's not a problem. We sort that, that's fine. So I'm inking it up well with the ultra slow drying ink, and I'm going to stamp it onto an A2 panel of Neenah Solar White £80. I'm just making sure there that I get all even pressure across the whole stamp. As you can see, I did not do a great job of cleaning it after using some black pigment ink on it before, but it's fine, it's covered. So I'm going to emboss it in the one of the powders from my trio. My trio is called Moonlight, and this powder is called Grey Sky at Night. So it's a mix of grey, bit of silver, and I just wanted to show you that even though this stamp is really quite intricate, there's some very fine lines on it, this is just a regular grade powder, and it has no problem at all with getting all of those details. So I've added the powder and I'm just heating up my gun, and then I'm going to bring the heat gun to the paper to melt all of the powder. You just want to make sure that you heat your heat gun thoroughly, so that it's nice and hot before you bring it to the paper, and just keep it moving, and that way that's going to limit the chances of you having any warping to your paper. So I'm just working my way across all of the triangles in turn, just to make sure that they are completely melted, and I love how this looks. I really love this. I really love this stamp. Obviously it's special to me because I designed it. So, but I think that there are so many things that you can do with this stamp. All of the designs that the design team came up with are amazing. So next I'm just showing you I've got some Scor Tape I've invested in, and I'm showing you here, it specifically says that this is heat resistant. So for the technique that I'm going to be doing, you do need to make sure that your tape is heat resistant. Not all tapes are. So I have the 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch wide Scor tapes, and I'm just adding them onto another A2 panel of Neenah £80, and I'm just mixing them up, putting a random sort of selection of those different widths of tape, and I'm going to be using it to emboss. So that's why you need to make sure that it is the heat resistant type, because otherwise you could end up with a bit of a mess. So I've just added them, and then I'm just trimming off the edge to make sure that it is flush with the edge of the panel. At this point I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do, so I've sort of lined up the tape strips where I thought I would want them on a final card panel, but I do actually end up cutting this down, so I didn't really need to add them there, and I could have put them on some scrap paper, but hey, I will use the rest of the card for something else. So once I'm happy that I've got as many pieces of tape as I'd like, I try to keep it to an odd number because they're just more visually appealing than an even number, and then I'm just going to burnish that tape down really well. I'm grabbing the other two of the powders from my trio, and yeah, I'm going to use the Scor Tape to emboss. So first up we have Midnight, because these are all sort of mixtures of powders and different grades, you do need to make sure that you give them a really good shake before you use them, just to make sure that it's all sort of dispersed evenly. You need to do that with any kind of powder mix, or glitter, embossing glitter as well. But to be honest, I just do it with every powder that I go to use, because I think it's just a good habit to get into, especially if you haven't used that powder for a bit. So I decided that I wanted 2 strips of the Midnight. I could have just done those at the same time, but I didn't think about it at that time. So as you can see, the powder does stick sort of to the plasticky backing of the other pieces of tape, but it's really easy to just brush that off, knock that straight off. So, and I didn't have any issues with that. So the next powder that I'm going to use, this is Twilight. So this is a lighter blue with some silvers, white and black. This is a really good mix of different grades of powder, so it's like even more important that you give it a really good shake. So I've added that to 2 of the strips, and then I've got 1 strip left that I will add Grey Sky at Night to. Now, I'm really proud of these powders and really happy with how they turned out, and I can't wait to see what you all make with them. They are available on the UK website, the whole release, all of the stamps and stencils and powders. They're available on the UK site. It does ship globally, but they will be available in the US soon. I don't have an exact date for that yet, but we will keep you informed. But as I said, if you can't wait that long, then you can always order from the UK website and they will ship it out to you. Now, I just love how those powders work together, and I love that Scor Tape tip. I saw Laura Basson do it and I just thought that's amazing. So next I've got some more Neenah Solar White £80, and I'm just adding some double-sided adhesive to the back of that. Now this is not like Scor Tape, this is a cheap brand, so it doesn't work as well as we could, but we make it work. So I cut the thanks word die from All to New from that paper twice, so that I've got sticky on the back and cardstock on the top. I then added another piece of the double-sided adhesive onto the top so that I could cut thanks again, and that one would have sticky on the top and the bottom. So the ones that I cut that are just sticky on the bottom, I stacked those up on top of each other, and then I added the ones that are sticky on the top and the bottom. So basically what I've got here is a 3-layer stacked sentiment. It's got sticky on the back that I can use to stick onto the card, but there's also sticky on the top of the word as well, and I'm going to foil it. So I grabbed out the Gold Fab Foil and I just stick the letters on. So I do burnish it quite well to try and get a good contact. Unfortunately, because this is not the best double-sided adhesive, it's sort of, when it goes through the dye machine, it kind of like, I don't know, it kind of puts like wrinkles in it, which do show up in the final foiled sentiment, which was not what I was intending, but I actually don't mind how it looks, so I do still use it anyway. I wasn't happy with the coverage the first time that I did this, so I did stick all the letters down again to get more foil. So Wow's Fab Foil, it is the kind that it will stick to sticky, like this, and also it will stick to toner printed things if you run it through a laminator, but it's not the same kind of foil that you would use for a hot foil stamping machine. So like I said, yeah, I just put them in twice just to get a better coverage, and they do sort of come out looking a little bit shabby, but I kind of dig it. So here's where I trim down the strips panel. I just cut them right up to the, no, I left a tiny little gap by each of the edges, and then I just glue that onto my triangle panel. Again, it is a little bit short, a little bit thinner, not as wide as an A2 panel, so I trim it right down to where the stamp is, and trim a little bit off the bottom, and then I just like to add it to an A2 panel of whatever colour cardstock I'm using, and have that little strip either side. I quite like how that looks, because again, these are this sized for UK standard sizes, which an A2 panel is not. So I've attached the stripes onto the triangle background, and I'm just going to trim off the edges. I just wanted to show you here some different ways that you can use some of the products, and I really like how it came out. So I attached the thanks word die across the embossed strips, and then I popped the whole thing onto some grey cardstock, like I said, with a strip either side showing, and I really like how that looks. I didn't add any embellishments because I kind of thought that the embossed strips and the gold word die was enough. So here's a better look at the powders themselves, and at the stamp. I really hope that you like them. Let me know in the comments below if you have a favourite from this new release. And yeah, I really hope that you give heat embossing onto sticky adhesive tape a go. If you like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up. And if you aren't already subscribed to our channel, then we would love it if you would please consider it. We share awesome heat embossing and all things wow inspiration every week. Have a lovely, happy, safe, wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye.